Now you've probably seen the title of this video and you know that it's going to be a review of the Fosi Audio K5 Pro Mini Stereo Gaming DAC. So what is this thing first of all, and why do you need it? You see, for many people, if you want to connect a pair of headphones or earphones to your computer, you have Bluetooth or you have wired. And if you're going the wired route, which is preferred for many because there is basically negligible latency there, which is the delay between seeing something happening on screen and hearing the corresponding sound. Wired gives you like the best or minimal latency rather, which is why many people like myself prefer wired, especially when watching something or doing audio or video editing, that kind of thing. So when you have wired, then you got to plug your headphones into your computer or laptop's headphone jack. Now here's the thing, that integrated amplifier chip on your laptop in particular, or your desktop in some cases, is just not powerful enough to drive higher quality headphones with a higher impedance that need a bit more juice, so to speak. So what you're going to find is you're cranking up the volume to maximum, but the volume level is still very, very low. That plus the fact that not all computers have an extremely high quality digital audio converter or sound chip in them. Some computers may not have that much of a quality item in them, and if you're someone like me who's very fussy when it comes to audio quality, you're going to notice the difference. That's why, that plus the lack of volume is why I got myself this Fosi Audio K5 Pro, because recently I treated myself to some Soundbrenner Wave in-ear monitors, and when I plugged them into my laptop, I realized that yes, these things can have a lot of capability that's not being realized, not just in terms of volume. Actually in volume they were fine, but in terms of sound quality. So a bit of digging revealed that yes, the inbuilt audio codec on most laptops is simply not the best, it's adequate at best. So I thought I'll get myself a DAC, digital audio converter / headphone amplifier. Now if you just want a headphone amplifier, you may not need to spend money on one, because if you have a set of powered speakers with a headphone jack, you can just plug your headphones into that and get more volume. Now I do not have a set of powered speakers with a headphone jack because I don't use speakers on my rig, because it's my work table, it's in my shared office room which I share with my wife. So most of the time if I'm listening to something, it's through headphones. So I didn't really invest in powered speakers. Because of that, I thought I'd get myself this little fellow, the Fosi Audio K5 Pro. It had some pretty decent reviews online. Of course, there were a few hiccups as well mentioned, so I was very keen to see if my unit would have those or if they would be, addressed by the time I got it. I think this has been on the market for about maybe nearly 2 years or thereabouts. I've seen reviews dating back to late 2023, so I figured maybe things had been ironed out by then. Getting it to Sri Lanka was a little interesting because there were some hiccups with the shipping. Apparently the shipper there couldn't find my address because it wasn't in Google Maps, which is a bit ridiculous because there are so many places in the world where addresses are not on Google Maps. Sri Lanka, for example, Google Maps here still doesn't have addresses right down to exact house number, instead relying on manually placed pins or places that have been already loaded into Google Maps. So few hiccups happened, but it took about nearly a month before I was able to get this thing down. Of course, the actual shipping time for it was about 11 days, which is right on what they said it would be, and it arrived at my doorstep. So that was good. Once they got the address right, everything was great. And I did the unboxing, which you're going to see shortly. And I've also been using it a bit, mostly with the Soundbrenner Waves. And let's find out how the sound quality is right after the unboxing. Okay, so let's get to unboxing, and this is the box it came in. The box, of course, was wrapped in a kind of bubble wrap envelope and sent to me. It came in pretty good condition. You can see that, yeah, it looks in pretty decent shape. Of course, the box says Fosi Audio, Hi-Fi made fun, home audio expert. Okay, and we've got these little things to resolve any worry. Okay, 30-day return period, 18-month warranty, lifetime tech support. Okay, their website is there, then their contact details are there. Nothing on the back, so there's nothing to say what model of product is inside this box. So let's open it up. Okay, so we've got a nice sheet of foam to protect everything. Then here we've got an optical audio cable. This is, I believe, the splitter which is used for those kind of mobile phone headphones that have actually got a single 3.5mm connector with four connections rather than 3. So that splits it into the typical 2 connections like this that you would see in a computer environment. This is the USB-C to USB-A cord, and this is the way you connect the K5 Pro to your computer. Now this end goes into the K5 Pro. This end is rather interesting because you've got options. You've got either you can use again USB-C, or you've got this little adapter which gives you a regular USB-A port. Now that's what I'm going to be using because my Asus laptop has just one USB-C port, and that has got a 4-port USB-A hub attached to it. So I will have to use USB-A to use this thing. Let's see how it pans out. Then we've got the user manual, K5 Pro user manual, okay. User guide, okay. Prepare, step 1, step 2, okay. All that stuff is there. Optical coaxial mode, frequently asked questions, okie dokie, warranty and maintenance, English, Chinese, all that is there. And the main attraction of everything here, ooh, that's got a fair bit of weight to it. And I haven't seen it yet, of course. I had to wait till the night rather, when I could peacefully do this unboxing when my kids are asleep. And here we are. Wow, that feels pretty chunky. Let's get the bag out of the way. Let's get the box and everything else out of the way so we can really have a look at this thing. Wow, that looks pretty imposing. We've got bass knob, we've got treble knob, and we've got a volume knob there. And yes, I did see a few reviews online that commented about, the bass and treble have got detents at the center point, which is basically the neutral or flat point, and many people commented that the detents were not exactly straight on both, and I can see the same thing here as well. I guess that's okay. It's not a big major deal breaker given how much I paid for this thing, and I certainly wasn't expecting this level of sturdy build quality. We've got rubber feet there, so that if you keep it on your table, it's not going to go sliding around when you're adjusting the controls. And speaking of the controls, I noticed some people had commented saying that since these 3 knobs are very close together, it might be a bit difficult to adjust them, but I can see that keeping it on a table like that, I'm able to adjust them just about fine. And the one that will receive the most adjustment is anyway this one, the volume. Plus, in my computer environment, my keyboard does have a volume knob on it. It's an Asus gaming keyboard, so it has a volume knob. So I might just keep this thing at a fixed level and use that to adjust the volume if necessary. But yeah, this thing doesn't move around either. It's, like I said, pretty hefty. It's aluminum construction. Looking at the back, we've got DC 5 volts in, which is USB/power, because that's where this fellow would go here. Optical in, coaxial in, and then you've got right and left RCA audio outs. Now that is so that you can use this thing as purely a DAC, and then it'll output a line level signal left and right, which you can connect to a separate amplifier if you need to drive a set of passive speakers. Now I bought this thing to drive a set of earphones, so I'm not going to be needing those things. And my floodlight just went off. I need to see why that is. Let's switch it back on. Okay, it's back again. I don't know why that happened. First time that's ever happened, and it's going off again. Okay, maybe the battery is out, but thankfully there is enough lighting in the room for me to finish this unboxing session. So yeah, what's coming up next is installation. Stay tuned. Right, so let's get to installation. First, I'm going to unplug my Soundbrenner Wave earphones from my laptop's 3.5mm headphone socket, which means that we're not going to be using those on the onboard sound chip in my laptop. Next, we're going to plug this here, which is the USB-C connector into the DAC. Just going to keep the DAC there for now. And the USB-A connector, I'm going to plug in there. Okay, things just went off and it said, okay, I can see some stuff happening there. You just unplug the device from the audio jack. Okay, that's fine. Everything works. Keyboard, mouse working. The USB hub is back. I'm going to power on the DAC now. Powering it on is done by basically long pressing the volume knob. There we go. It's powered on. Setting up a device. We are setting up Fosi Audio K5 Pro. That's what my laptop is telling me right now. It's being set up. In the meantime, is it on the USB? Yes, it is by default. Plug my headphones into the headphone socket, and I'm going to wear one because I want to see what's going on. Can I hear anything? First of all, let's take the volume all the way down. Actually, I'm putting the volume all the way up now and I'm not hearing anything. Oh, it's still setting up the device. Okay, what's this? Not enough USB controller resources. Okay, resources exceeded. Okay, that's interesting. Right. In that case, power off the DAC. Maybe my little USB-C hub doesn't have enough power for it. So what we're going to do is unplug it from there, and I'm just going to plug it in to this. I have a USB port. Actually, I have USB ports on the other side of my laptop too. So I guess I'll just bring the DAC a little this side and well, plug it into one of these side USB ports here. Let's see what happens, shall we? Okay, I've plugged it into one of those ports now, and yeah, I'm just going to keep the DAC there. Power it on again. It powered on. Okay, let's see what's happening now. Okay, speakers. Okay, Fosi Audio K5 Pro. My keyboard's volume knob is working just fine. Let me just show you that thing. It's a keyboard which I reviewed in my channel anyway, so you can see the volume knob right there. Let's get back to the screens because I really want to see if I can hear any audio from this thing. So what I'm going to do is fire up Spotify, because I do have a Spotify premium account and I don't have access to Spotify's latest lossless music playback at the time of recording this video. But what I do have is, well, premium subscription set to 320 kilobits or whatever per second. Now, another thing I had noticed about these headphones was that people had commented saying that sometimes there could be like a hiss when you crank up the volume to the maximum. I'm not hearing that here at all. So that's a positive sign. But my question is, does this thing even work? Because I'm just going to play some music through it now and see what happens. Okay, let's see. Let's maybe go for my 80s mix. First of all, is there any sound coming? Okay, let's see. Okay, let's go for some Lionel Richie, Endless Love. Okay, I'm putting the other headphone in now as well. Okay, why did you say can't play the current song? That's weird. Okay, it seems like my Spotify is a bit slow. Let's go to YouTube. Oh, I remember reading about something like this also, where I should open my sound settings and check the device properties and see whether it's set to its the highest 96,000 Hertz, I believe is what supposed to set it to. Okay, the test audio tone is playing pretty loud, I gotta say. I mean, that did give me a bit of a shock right now. Something went wrong by loading the artist. Why, Spotify? Why are you being a bit difficult today? Okay, let's try some modern talking. Oh, internet problems. Well, I've been having internet problems all day today, so I don't know what's really going on there either. Why is the internet not working properly? I'm connected to my home Wi-Fi, which is a fiber optic internet connection. I think that's probably why the song also isn't working properly. I've been having a bit of... Never mind. I do have some music stored on my hard drive as well. Let's see where it was folder. Okay. Let's try some ABBA. Oh wow. Very nice. Whoa. Now this thing is pretty loud, I gotta say. I'm just gonna pause the music for a minute. I don't have media keys on my keyboard, so yeah. But yeah, this thing is pretty loud, I have to say. I'm very impressed with the volume levels of it through the Soundbrenner waves. I will also be testing it out with 2 other sets of earphones. So the next stage of this video will be my verdict after using it for a few weeks at least, because you gotta let electronics let this bed in a bit. So there you are. Stay tuned for the verdict on how this thing fares after it beds in, so to speak. And I can see my internet has just come back, so I will be listening to some Spotify as well. So after using the Fosi Audio K5 for a few weeks now, actually it's well over a month. Yes, I recorded the intro and this video on the same day and the unboxing when I got it way back then. I have to say that I really like the sound signature of it. It's got a very neutral, warm and balanced sound to it, which means that you're not seeing any of the highs or the lows colored in any way, which means that your music, your sound is not too boomy, nor is it too tinny, nor does it seem to have an abundance of voice but very little of the other instruments when listening to music, for example. So yeah, in that sense, it's a very well judged thing. And what also impressed me is the fact that, well, the inbuilt amplifier that is in it is pretty good. I mean, I've got my computer volume set at around 40%, and the volume knob on this set at maybe that would be about the 11 o'clock position, and it's giving me very good comfortable listening with the Soundbrenner waves. Now when I have tried it with my Yamaha in-ear monitors, which are the ones that I replaced the Soundbrenner waves with, I have to turn the volume a little more, maybe around to the 12 o'clock position, but still not that much more. Now with these, this is my Anker Soundco Q30s, I think they're Q30s. I got them several years ago because they are active noise cancelling Bluetooth headphones, so they're excellent for like flights and that kind of thing, but they also have a wired input which works when the active circuitry inside is switched off. Now these, when I used to use them on the wired input, I could never use them with my laptop because the volume level was dismally low. I mean, the amplifier in the laptop couldn't drive these properly. But with the K5, if I crank my laptop's volume up to 100%, I just need to put the K5 up to about 3/4 or roughly the 3 o'clock position on its volume knob to have comfortable listening volume. And if I crank it all the way up to maximum, which is the 5 o'clock position on the dial, then it's a little uncomfortably loud, which means that yes, this amp does have enough headroom for this kind of, I don't know if it's high impedance or what it is, but headphones that basically need a lot of amplification, to put it in my own words. So those are the positives of the Fosi Audio K5. I also like this chunky aluminum chassis and the fact that yes, it doesn't move around on my little monitor bench here when I'm adjusting controls. Now let's get into a few of the negatives of it. And actually none of the negatives are related to its performance. Performance wise, this thing performs flawlessly. And the only one thing I notice is when I shut off my computer or put it to hibernate, of course the amp shuts off because the USB ports are disconnected or rather lose power when you shut off your computer or hibernate it. And when you put the computer back on, this doesn't automatically power on again. So yeah, some reviewers mentioned that that would be the case, which is fine because I keep it off when I'm not listening to anything, because what's the point of just keeping an amplifier on when you're not using it, right? So that behavior doesn't bother me too much. Some users who want that extra bit of convenience might fuss over it, but hey, just press the volume knob and you're back in action again. And that brings me to the next point, which is the volume knob has got a very slight amount of, well, play to it, very almost indiscernible, but for someone with OCD like me, yes, it slightly takes away from the premium experience of this thing, given its metal casing and metal knobs as well that have texturing on them, which feels really nice. So yeah, that's a very minor niggle, but I can live with that. And another niggle I can live with, but I must point out because reviews have mentioned it back in 2023, and I'm a bit surprised that Fosi Audio hasn't corrected it since then. Once again, it's a bit of a thing for OCD people, but it matters. That is, now you have the bass and the treble knobs here, very good to have, really useful. And of course they have a neutral or flat setting, which is where you have no amplification or reduction of the bass or treble frequencies in that position. That position is typically straight up like that. Any piece of home hi-fi equipment with a similar kind of thing will have those knobs there, and there's a D10 too. So when you're turning them, you turn it to the facing up position, there's a click and you know it's there. Same with the treble. Now here, the bass knobs click for the up position is perfectly up like that. The treble knob on the other hand is very slightly skewed to the right. I'm skewing my finger to the left so that in the camera you can see the rightward skew. So, and yes, that does take a little bit away from the premium appeal of this amp because of that tiny little thing there. Now I'm sure it's probably easy to fix, but I don't want to open the amp up and try to get at the potentiometers and that kind of thing, because I shouldn't have to do that on something I have bought brand new and something with an appearance like this as well. Now another thing I've noticed some reviewers have mentioned is that the blue lights that indicate that the amp is powered on and what kind of input it's using, some have said it's a little bright, but I haven't really noticed that, given that I don't use my computer in an entirely dark environment for gaming or anything like that. So for me it's not an issue. If it is an issue for you, a little piece of tape over is one recommended fix, but yeah, it's a very minor thing otherwise. So yeah, overall performance wise I'm happy with it, build quality I'm happy with it kind of, except for those little niggles, and price also I'm very happy with it because I don't think I can get something comparable for the same price. So there you are, my candid unbiased review of the Fosi Audio K5 Pro mini stereo gaming DAC. Yeah, it's quite a mouthful, isn't it? And it's printed on the front here as well, which is why I was looking at it and reading it so I don't get it wrong. But hey, it's still better than the model numbers for watches like this Casio W217HM- something something which I've forgotten about, but you can find in my channel. So yeah, I hope you found this review useful. If you did, drop me a like, share it, subscribe, and have a great day. Thanks for watching.